The Toyota Tacoma is a midsize pickup that is highly regarded in the US market as one of the best models to purchase. This truck delivers everything a truck should and is very reliable. It is easily likable, and this is why it sells extremely well. However, there are some downsides to it. A small percentage of owners simply decide to sell the truck in the early stages of ownership. So if you want to learn more, stay with us while we cover the 8 reasons why drivers are selling their Toyota Tacoma after only 5,000 miles. Number 8. Poor ride quality. Let's start with one of the main culprits why owners decide to sell their Toyota Tacoma after only 5,000 miles, and that is the poor ride quality. The Toyota Tacoma is not one of the most comfortable vehicles to drive, and many owners understand this too late. This model uses a ladder frame, also known as a body-on-frame construction. This means that there's a rigid structure underneath the cab. This results in poor ride quality. Every vehicle that uses this approach is not the best when it comes to driving comfort. With the Tacoma, you will feel every bump on the road and every imperfection because of this type of frame. Also, there's an immense body roll while cornering. Your body will lean a lot while taking corners with such a vehicle because the G-force is much stronger in these ladder frame vehicles. Also, on these vehicles, the steering might feel a bit vague and also a bit heavy while driving at low speeds. This is because of the large, meaty tires that have a lot of grip compared to regular summer tires on smaller types of vehicles. So owners who come from compact SUVs or sedans understand this, and they decide to sell their Tacoma because they simply cannot get used to this type of driving. This is why we advise that you do good research and make sure that you test drive the truck in order to avoid this type of situation. The downside of this problem is that it's not fixable, and if you want to drive something more responsive with better ride quality, you need to purchase a compact or mid-size unibody vehicle in order to achieve this. Number 7. Uncomfortable seats. Another common problem and reason why owners decide to sell their Tacoma is the problem with the uncomfortable seats. The seats in the older generation of the Toyota Tacoma are not one of the best around. These models are still sold on lots as new, and potential owners should be aware of this. Owners said they were absolutely strained after long-distance driving with the older Tacoma. The seats are very tough and not one of the best when it comes to offering support on your torso. The newest generation of the Toyota Tacoma solves this problem with the new seats. These seats are much better engineered and designed for maximum comfort with much better support. On the TRD Pro, there are also shock absorbers on the seats to absorb vibrations and bumps on the road, so you always have maximum comfort. That's why, if you want to get the maximum comfort in your Toyota Tacoma, we would recommend that you opt for the latest generation instead of the older model. This is how you'll get max comfort for your hard-earned dollar. Number 6. Underpowered base engine. Now let's cover another reason why owners decide to sell their Tacoma with only 5,000 miles, and that's because of the underpowered base engine. For those who are unfamiliar with the latest generation, Toyota decided to switch from the 3.5-liter V6 engine to a 2.4-liter inline-4 turbo. This decision was not made lightly because we all know that there's no replacement for displacement, but it had to be done in order for Toyota to meet the regulatory requirements. So this new 2.4-liter turbo was released for many of the mid-size Toyota models, including the Tacoma. This 2.4-liter inline-4 turbo, since it is a turbo, is able to be tuned for each application. In the Tacoma, there are a couple of power levels of this engine. However, the base version is very poorly performing. It only makes 228 horsepower and 243 pound-feet of torque. You might be asking yourself and thinking that this is decent power, which actually is not. This model has become heavier, and this is not enough power for this type of vehicle. It feels a bit underpowered, and since it is a turbocharged engine, it doesn't deliver the torque instantly. You need to wait while the turbo kicks in order to feel the power hitting the wheels. This is quite frustrating for the owner. If you want to have the best, we recommend choosing a more powerful alternative in the lineup. The mid-tier engine produces 278 HP and 310 pound-feet of torque. This engine is a much better alternative than the entry-level engine. Number 5. Noisy engine. Another thing that owners complained a lot about this new generation of the Tacoma was the fact that the new engine is very loud and produces plenty of vibrations that easily enter the cabin. This is the case because the 2.4-liter is a smaller engine that is poorly balanced. so it's prone to create vibrations and noise. What makes things even worse is the direct injection system that makes the engine sound like a diesel. This is the case because this system uses a similar injection as diesel. That's why, if you want to get a good sounding engine with low vibrations, we can tell you that this is not the engine that you need. These vibrations can become so excessive that it might make you regret purchasing the model in the first place. Many owners understand this early on and sell their Tacomas in the first few months of their ownership. Number 4. Average fuel economy in the hybrid. For those unfamiliar, the latest generation of the Toyota Tacoma was released with the hybrid engine. This model is known as the iForce Max. This is a mild hybrid that implements the same 2.4-liter engine with a small electric motor and a small battery. Many people thought that since Toyota does an extremely good job with their hybrids, they would also do a great job with the Tacoma hybrid. We all expected fuel economy somewhere in the 30s. However, unfortunately, this is not the case. The Tacoma iForce Max is pretty average in its performance when it comes to fuel economy. It's only a few mpgs above the standard non-hybrid model. This model only gets up to 22 miles per gallon city to 24 miles per gallon highway, or 24 miles per gallon combined, while the regular model gets up to 21 miles per gallon in the city, 26 miles per gallon on the highway, and 23 combined. As you can see, the hybrid has only 1 mpg advantage over the non-hybrid model. This is why we think that it's not worth it if you consider getting this model for fuel economy. The only positive of the iForce Max hybrid is the fact that the model is much more powerful than the regular iForce Max and delivers similar fuel economy. Besides this, there is no big advantage of this model over the regular iForce model. Number 3. Poor passenger space. Another big problem with the Toyota Tacoma was the fact that the passenger space was very poor in this model. The extended cab version is extremely poor and you'll not be able to seat anyone. Even for storing items, this model is very poor. Even if you choose the 4-door cab, you'll struggle with the Tacoma, especially with legroom. The rear seat is simply too close to the front, and this will definitely make you feel uncomfortable, especially if you're taller than 6 feet. This is a common problem for every midsize pickup truck. People purchase these trucks without being aware of this issue, and they understand that they need a larger truck for their needs. So their best route out of this problem is to get rid of this truck. This is something that you don't want to do, but that's the only way around it. Number 2. Poor infotainment system. Another downside of the Toyota Tacoma is the infotainment system. The system that Toyota uses is not one of the best and is prone to glitches and bugs. These glitches and bugs can appear unexpectedly and cause problems for the owner. The solution will be to restart the engine in order to bring the system back to normal working order. A way to alleviate this problem is to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Both of these systems work extremely well and don't have bugs. Number 1. Unexpected reason. Lastly, we want to cover the unexpected reason why an owner would decide to sell their Toyota Tacoma with only 5,000 miles. There can be many reasons behind this. The owner might not be very satisfied with the product. There can be unexpected breakdowns that often can occur in new vehicles. In some cases, the truck will spend more time waiting to get fixed at the dealer than driving on the road. In this case, many owners simply opt to get a new vehicle and solve this problem. Others can have financial problems. For example, they lose their job. So their only way to overcome the problem will be to sell things, including the truck, in order to recuperate the losses and become more financially stable.